The morning had started like any other, with the sun rising over the vast, jagged horizon of the Grand Canyon, casting a golden glow across the cliffs and valleys that stretched endlessly into the distance. For a 19-year-old student, this day had been planned for weeks. A brief escape from the monotony of campus life, a chance to breathe in the freedom of wide-open spaces, and to capture moments that would later fill social media feeds with envy-inducing photos. They had arrived early, along with a small group of friends, their backpacks stuffed with water, snacks, and the kind of uncontainable excitement that only youth can produce. The air was crisp and dry, carrying the scent of sun-baked rock and desert flora, and the distant wind whistled through the canyon like a gentle prelude to the day ahead. Conversations were light-hearted, filled with laughter, teasing, and the kind of camaraderie that makes ordinary days feel extraordinary. Nobody could have predicted that within hours, that ordinary day would turn into a tragedy etched forever in memory. They moved along the rim, taking care to follow the marked trails, yet occasionally stepping closer to the edge to get a better view or a more striking photograph. The Grand Canyon has a magnetic pull, a sense of awe that makes even the most careful visitor feel invincible, as if the earth itself is urging them to step just a little closer to the abyss. Their friends joked about daring each other, laughing as they balanced precariously on rocks and cliffs, the canyon below seemingly endless and impossibly deep. There was no malice, no thought of danger, only a desire to feel alive, to push the boundaries of the ordinary, to seize the moment with youthful abandon. The student carried a camera, pausing frequently to frame the perfect shot of sunlight glinting off the canyon walls, capturing shadows that seemed almost alive. Each photograph was a testament to a day that promised freedom, joy, and unforgettable memories. As the morning wore on, the group wandered further along the rim, discovering hidden viewpoints and narrow ledges that offered unparalleled panoramas. Every step was a mix of awe and adrenaline, the kind of thrill that comes from standing on the edge of something vast and incomprehensible. The student laughed freely, oblivious to the invisible line that separates curiosity from danger. Their friends followed closely, some snapping pictures of each other, others simply watching, mesmerized by the natural grandeur. Conversations ranged from trivial school matters to dreams about the future, and amidst the chatter there was a palpable sense of innocence, a belief that nothing bad could happen here in a place so breathtakingly beautiful, under a sky so impossibly blue. By midday, they had stopped at a particularly famous viewpoint, where the canyon dropped away in sheer walls that disappeared into shadowy depths. The student, driven by curiosity and a desire for the perfect shot, ventured closer to the edge. A small rock, loose underfoot, betrayed them at the worst possible moment, and in the blink of an eye, the ordinary day turned catastrophic. The group's laughter froze into screams of horror as their friend fell from the precipice, the sound of wind rushing past almost deafening in its immediacy. What had begun as a simple outing to admire nature's wonder had transformed into a scene of unimaginable tragedy. Emergency calls were made and park rangers rushed to the scene, but the enormity of the canyon and the height of the fall complicated every rescue attempt. The friends, stunned and tearful, were left to grapple with the shock, replaying the moments leading up to the fall, questioning what could have been done differently. In that instant, the ordinary became extraordinary in the most tragic sense. A day that had promised joy, ending in heartbreak. The Grand Canyon, once a symbol of awe and adventure, had revealed its unforgiving nature, leaving an indelible mark on the lives of those who had been there. Even now, the memory of that day serves as a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. The students' plans, laughter, and dreams ended abruptly, leaving behind friends and family struggling to make sense of the unthinkable. Yet, in recounting the morning, the way the sunlight fell across the canyon and the sound of laughter carried on the wind, there is a vivid reminder of the person they were, of the life they lived, however tragically cut short. It is a stark testament to the beauty and danger of the natural world, and to the fragile, fleeting nature of human existence. The moment came faster than anyone could have anticipated. 1 second, there was laughter and the sound of cameras clicking, and the next, there was only the raw, terrifying reality of gravity asserting itself in a place as vast and indifferent as the Grand Canyon. The student had edged closer to the rim than anyone dared, drawn by the allure of a vantage point that promised the perfect photograph, a moment frozen in time. The rocks beneath their feet were unstable, a loose conglomeration of sediment and stone that had withstood centuries of erosion, but not the weight of a single misstep. Curiosity, that innocent yet dangerous impulse, had led them to this precarious position. In a heartbeat, the ordinary excitement of the morning transformed into a nightmare. From the perspective of their friends, everything happened too quickly to comprehend. Shouts of warning sliced through the crisp canyon air, but they were already too late. The student lost their footing, a small stumble that escalated instantly into disaster. Their arms flailed in a desperate attempt to regain balance, but the sheer vertical drop offered no mercy. Time seemed to stretch, a cruel distortion where every second dragged as witnesses froze in horror, powerless to intervene. The fall, an unimaginable 120 meters, was both rapid and excruciating, a plunge through space that defied instinct and hope. The wind whipped past, a roaring companion to the inevitability of the event, and the canyon, so serene just moments ago, became a silent witness to tragedy. The physics of the fall were merciless. Gravity, indifferent and relentless, pulled the student downward in an unstoppable descent. Rocks jutted out along the way, sharp edges that threatened further injury. The sheer scale of the Grand Canyon meant that rescue was impossible in that moment. Even trained professionals would have been unable to intervene as the fall occurred. Witnesses later described a sickening silence following the initial scream, a space where sound seemed to evaporate in the face of incomprehensible loss. The moment was brief yet infinite, a condensed eternity of fear, disbelief, and the cruel reality that life could change irreversibly in an instant. In the aftermath of the fall, the canyon's magnitude became even more apparent. The abyss seemed to swallow the student, the walls echoing with the memory of laughter that had vanished so suddenly. The friends, frozen in shock, struggled to process what they had just seen. Some dropped to their knees, unable to speak, while others reached frantically toward the edge, knowing that no human strength could alter the outcome. Panic and confusion spread like wildfire, the mind grappling with the impossible. In these moments, the sheer danger of the canyon revealed itself in stark clarity. No barrier, no warning sign, no good intention could prevent the immutable force of nature from asserting its dominance. Park rangers and emergency personnel arrived swiftly, yet even their expertise could not rewrite the tragic script that had unfolded. Helicopters circled overhead, their rotors chopping through the silence, while ground teams prepared for a recovery effort that would be constrained by terrain and gravity. Every measure taken was a reminder of the limits of human intervention, of how small and fragile human life is when confronted with natural forces that are beautiful yet perilous. The canyon, in its grandeur, offered both awe and danger, a duality that few truly comprehend until tragedy strikes. This fatal moment serves as a stark lesson about the thin line between curiosity and recklessness. It is a reminder that even in the most controlled environments, nature retains its unpredictability. The student's desire to capture the perfect photograph, to embrace the thrill of adventure, was a fundamental human impulse, yet one that collided disastrously with reality. It is an enduring narrative of risk, consequence, and the tragic beauty of life's unpredictability. Friends and family would later recount the event, haunted not only by the loss, but by the vivid replay of those final seconds, a haunting tableau etched into memory with cruel precision. In the quiet that followed, the canyon seemed almost indifferent, returning to its timeless state. Cliffs standing silently against the sky, wind whispering through its depths, For those who remained, the weight of what had occurred settled in, a profound understanding of vulnerability, of the transient nature of life, and the invisible boundary that separates exhilaration from catastrophe. The fatal moment was brief, irreversible, and unforgettable, forever marking the day that began like any other, but ended in tragedy. The aftermath of the fall was immediate and chaotic, a mixture of panic, disbelief, and desperate action. The friends who had witnessed the tragedy were frozen, some screaming, some crying, others reaching toward the abyss in vain. Within minutes, park rangers had been alerted, and the normally serene Grand Canyon transformed into a hub of urgent activity. Helicopters roared overhead, their blades slicing through the canyon air, while ground teams navigated the rugged terrain with a singular focus: to reach the student as quickly as possible. Every second felt like an eternity. Each one waited with fear and hope, the thin line between life and death hanging by a fragile thread. Emergency teams faced immense challenges from the very beginning. The Grand Canyon's landscape is unforgiving. Sheer cliffs, narrow ledges, and deep crevices make access nearly impossible in certain areas. Rescue personnel had to carefully assess the situation, balancing the urgency of reaching the student with the undeniable dangers of the terrain. A single misstep could have resulted in additional casualties. Helicopters hovered precariously above the site, while ropes and harnesses were prepared for a descent that demanded both skill and precision. The sheer magnitude of the canyon turned the rescue into a race against both time and geography, highlighting the difficulty of saving someone from such a great height. Witnesses on the scene described a haunting mix of fear and disbelief. Friends attempted to assist, their voices hoarse from shouting, their hands shaking from adrenaline and grief. Park visitors nearby recorded the unfolding drama, though many later admitted they could not fully comprehend what was happening as the events progressed. The surreal nature of the moment, people watching helplessly as professionals struggled to reach the fallen student, created an almost cinematic tension, a terrifying interplay between human fragility and the raw forces of nature. The canyon itself, which had seemed a place of adventure and beauty just moments earlier, now stood as a silent, indifferent witness to catastrophe. As the rescue effort continued, the emotional toll on everyone present became evident. Friends and onlookers alternated between hope and despair, clinging to the belief that somehow, against all odds, the student might survive. Park rangers communicated over radios, coordinating teams and monitoring every movement with meticulous care. Each attempt to approach the fallen student revealed the complexities of the situation: unstable rock formations, unpredictable wind currents, and the ever-present threat of further injury. Even with the best training and equipment, the sheer height and remoteness made it clear that the outcome was uncertain, leaving rescuers to contend with both physical obstacles and the emotional weight of what they faced. Paramedics prepared for every possible scenario, anticipating injuries consistent with a fall of more than 120 meters. Medical kits were ready, but the reality of the situation left little room for optimism. In these moments, the focus shifted from prevention to response, from possibility to the stark realities of human mortality. Friends of the student were guided away from the edge, some holding each other, others sitting in stunned silence, while tears flowed freely. The juxtaposition of frantic professional action and personal grief created an emotional landscape as treacherous as the canyon itself. Despite the rapid and skilled response of the rescue teams, the outcome became heartbreakingly clear. The student had suffered injuries too severe to survive, and the rescue mission shifted from saving a life to recovering it. The transition from hope to acceptance was agonizing, a silent acknowledgement of the limits of human intervention against the forces of nature. Friends were escorted away from the scene, their grief raw, their minds replaying the fall in endless loops. The canyon, now quiet once more except for the occasional whistling wind, seemed to mourn silently alongside those who remained. The rescue effort and its aftermath left an indelible mark on all involved. For the park rangers and emergency responders, it was a reminder of the danger inherent in their work and the reality that even the most skilled teams cannot always overcome the uncontrollable. For the friends and witnesses, it was an encounter with mortality, a moment when the fragility of life became undeniable and immediate. The tragic event reshaped the day entirely, transforming a morning of laughter and excitement into a memory forever tinged with sorrow. Even after the immediate crisis had passed, the emotional reverberations continued. Family members were notified, grief counselors arrived, and the story of that day began to spread, serving as a grim reminder of the canyon's hidden dangers. The rescue and recovery efforts, while executed with professionalism and courage, could not erase the heartbreak, nor could they restore the life that had been lost in an instant. The canyon returned to its timeless state, indifferent yet majestic, leaving those who remained to grapple with shock, guilt, and a profound awareness of life's fragility. The Grand Canyon is one of the most iconic natural wonders on Earth, a vast expanse of rock, canyon walls, and plunging depths that inspire awe and admiration. For millions of visitors each year, it represents beauty, adventure, and the thrill of standing at the edge of the planet. Yet beneath its breathtaking exterior lies a series of hidden dangers that many underestimate, and even experienced travelers can fall victim to. The canyon's allure is inseparable from its risk. The very features that make it awe-inspiring, the dizzying cliffs, sheer drop-offs, and unpredictable terrain, also make it unforgiving. Understanding these risks is essential, not just for survival, but for appreciating the delicate balance between human curiosity and natural hazards. One of the most deceptive aspects of the canyon is its sense of scale. From a distance, the cliffs and ledges can appear gradual and forgiving, giving visitors the impression that it is safe to walk close to the edge. This optical illusion, coupled with the human tendency to overestimate skill and control, can lead to fatal miscalculations. Many visitors are drawn to the edge for photographs, selfies, or simply the thrill of proximity to nature's grandeur, often ignoring posted warnings or natural barriers. These moments of curiosity, while seemingly innocent, are precisely when accidents occur. The canyon is beautiful but indifferent, and a single misstep can have consequences as severe as the fall that claimed the life of the 19-year-old student. Loose rocks and unstable ledges are another critical factor. The geological history of the Grand Canyon means that erosion is constant, and even seemingly solid rock can shift or crumble without warning. Visitors who climb over safety rails or venture onto unmarked paths risk stepping on sections that cannot support weight. In many cases, the rock formations near the rim have fractured over centuries, creating areas that are deceptively strong-looking but structurally weak. One slip, one lost balance, and there is no margin for error. What feels like a minor miscalculation can instantly become catastrophic, demonstrating that the canyon's natural beauty comes with an unforgiving cost. Weather conditions also contribute significantly to the danger. Wind patterns can be unpredictable, gusting through narrow ledges with enough force to destabilize even a careful visitor. Rain or morning dew can make rocks slippery, and sudden changes in temperature can affect both footing and judgment. Tourists often underestimate how quickly conditions can shift, and the combination of uneven terrain, height, and weather can turn a normal hike into a life-threatening situation in moments. The canyon is not merely a scenic backdrop. It is a living environment with hazards that demand respect and vigilance. Another layer of risk lies in human behavior. Group dynamics, peer pressure, and the desire for social media validation can push individuals to make unsafe choices. Visitors may take risks they would otherwise avoid, such as leaning over edges or climbing onto rocks for a better view. Inexperience, overconfidence, and distraction all play a role, particularly for young adults or first-time visitors who feel invincible in the face of natural wonder. The tragic fall of the student was not simply a consequence of environmental factors, it was also a human story, illustrating how small choices made in a fraction of a second can have irreversible outcomes. Education and awareness are crucial in mitigating these risks. Park authorities place warnings, install railings, and provide guidance about safe viewing practices, but the responsibility ultimately rests with each visitor. Understanding the canyon's geography, respecting its natural forces, and maintaining a cautious approach are essential for survival. The canyon's deceptive calm can lull even the most attentive individuals into a false sense of security. But awareness, patience, and adherence to safety measures can prevent tragedies. Every incident serves as a reminder that natural beauty does not equate to safety, and that human life is fragile in comparison to the vastness of the landscape. In the broader context, the Grand Canyon's dangers underscore a universal truth about interacting with nature. It is easy to forget that the planet is indifferent to human presence, that its cliffs, rivers, and forests operate on their own terms. Awe and curiosity are powerful motivators, but they must be tempered with respect and caution. The story of the student's fatal fall serves as a case study in how quickly an ordinary day can turn tragic when human limitations meet environmental hazards. Understanding these risks is not just about safety, it is about valuing life, recognizing the power of nature, and approaching it with humility. Ultimately, the Grand Canyon's beauty is inseparable from its peril. Its vast vistas and dramatic landscapes draw millions each year. But the canyon demands awareness, preparation, and caution. The tragedy of that day reminds us that even a single lapse, a moment of curiosity, or a minor misstep can lead to irreversible consequences. The canyon is magnificent, but it is also a silent teacher of human vulnerability, patience, and respect for the natural world. Those who venture there carry not only wonder, but responsibility, a responsibility to themselves and to the lives intertwined with theirs. The aftermath of the tragedy extended far beyond the canyon's cliffs, reaching into the hearts and lives of friends, family, and even strangers who were touched by the story. For the friends who had been present that day, the emotional shock was immediate and overwhelming. They replayed the moments leading up to the fall in endless mental loops, questioning what they could have done differently, haunted by the helplessness they felt in the face of an irreversible event. Their grief was intertwined with guilt, a cruel companion that whispered that somehow, some way, the tragedy might have been preventable. Sleep became elusive, conversations were strained, and the ordinary routines of life were upended as the memory of that day refused to fade. Family members, upon receiving the news, were thrust into a world of disbelief and sorrow. Parents, siblings, and extended relatives grappled with the incomprehensible, struggling to reconcile the vibrant, curious young adult they knew with the sudden tragic reality. Calls to hospitals, frantic attempts to understand the rescue efforts, and the eventual confirmation of death created a whirlwind of emotion that few could navigate. The grief was compounded by the distance and remoteness of the Grand Canyon, a stark reminder that life can change in a moment and that loved ones may be powerless in the face of nature's indifference. Each family member carried the weight of loss in their own way, some seeking solace in memories, others retreating into silence, all united by the pain of absence and the questions that could never be answered. The ripple effect extended to the broader community as well. Friends of friends, classmates, teachers, and even casual acquaintances were drawn into the emotional wake of the tragedy. Social media became a double-edged sword, offering spaces for collective mourning and remembrance, but also amplifying grief and speculation. Stories of the student's life, accomplishments, and dreams circulated widely, creating a shared sense of loss that transcended physical proximity. Communities came together in vigils, memorials, and online tributes, each attempt to honor the student, a way to process shock and reaffirm the fragility of life. The collective grief highlighted a universal truth that human connections are deeply intertwined, and that the impact of a single loss can extend far beyond the immediate circle of family and friends. For the friends who had witnessed the fall, the psychological impact was particularly profound. Trauma from such a first-hand experience often manifests in unexpected ways: flashbacks, anxiety, and an enduring fear of heights or open spaces. Some may find it impossible to revisit places similar to the Grand Canyon, while others may struggle with guilt or a persistent sense of "what if?" Mental health professionals often stress that survivor trauma is as significant as grief, requiring acknowledgement, counseling, and time. The student's death became a catalyst for emotional reckoning among those present, forcing them to confront the precariousness of existence and the randomness of tragedy. Even park personnel and rescuers were affected by the ripple. First responders are trained to deal with emergencies, but certain events leave an indelible mark, reminding them of the limits of skill and preparation. The emotional weight of being unable to save a life, despite every effort, can linger long after the scene has been cleared. For these professionals, the incident underscored the immense responsibility and pressure inherent in their work, as well as the constant confrontation with human vulnerability in natural settings. Their experiences became part of a larger narrative, one that ties human courage and effort to the relentless, impartial force of nature. Beyond immediate grief, the tragedy prompted reflection within the community on safety, responsibility, and the impermanence of life. Discussions arose about how to prevent similar incidents, how to educate visitors about dangers, and how to balance the pursuit of adventure with caution. Schools, universities, and social groups used the incident as a sobering example of risk, responsibility, and the emotional cost of unanticipated events. Each retelling served as both a memorial to the student and a lesson to others, emphasizing the importance of awareness and care in even the most breathtaking environments. In every instance, the ripple effect revealed a network of human connection, a web of impact that extended far beyond the initial tragedy. The student's life, though tragically cut short, influenced countless others in profound ways. Friends and family were left to navigate grief and loss, witnesses were marked by trauma, and the broader community was reminded of the fragile, fleeting nature of life. The canyon, with its timeless expanse, stood as a silent testament to the consequences of human vulnerability and the interconnectedness of human experience. In the wake of such a tragedy, the echoes of sorrow and remembrance ripple outward, shaping the lives of all who were touched, whether directly or indirectly, and leaving an indelible mark on memory, consciousness, and the collective understanding of risk and loss. The tragedy of the student's fall at the Grand Canyon serves as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between human curiosity and the unforgiving forces of nature. In the aftermath, the lessons learned are as critical as they are heartbreaking, highlighting the importance of preparation, awareness, and respect for the environment. The canyon, while breathtakingly beautiful, demands caution and reverence. Every visitor must understand that a moment's inattention or overconfidence can have irreversible consequences. Learning from such incidents is not merely an academic exercise, it is a means to prevent future tragedies, to honor those lost by ensuring their story guides others towards safer decisions. One of the most crucial lessons is the importance of respecting physical boundaries. Safety rails, warning signs, and marked paths exist for a reason. They are the product of experience, observation, and often past tragedies. Visitors should treat these boundaries not as obstacles to adventure, but as critical safeguards. Crossing a barrier or venturing onto an unmarked ledge may seem thrilling in the moment, but it is a gamble with no guarantee of survival. The student's fatal fall underscores how quickly curiosity can transform into catastrophe when nature's forces are underestimated. Education is another essential factor in preventing similar incidents. Understanding the geography, geology, and inherent risks of areas like the Grand Canyon empowers visitors to make informed choices. Park authorities, educational institutions, and even travel guides play a pivotal role in conveying this knowledge. Awareness campaigns, informational signage, and guided tours can help visitors grasp the consequences of risky behavior without diminishing the awe-inspiring experience of the canyon. Knowledge equips individuals to balance the desire for adventure with prudent decision-making, reducing the likelihood of accidents. Preparation is equally vital. Proper footwear, awareness of weather conditions, and staying on designated trails are simple yet effective measures that can save lives. Visitors should plan ahead, recognize the limits of their physical capabilities, and avoid risky shortcuts or unstable terrain. Even the most experienced hikers and explorers are susceptible to accidents if they neglect preparation. The canyon's grandeur can inspire overconfidence, but humility and readiness are essential tools for safety. The story of the student illustrates that no level of excitement or desire for a perfect moment justifies compromising these basic principles. The tragedy also highlights the importance of group awareness and communication. Friends and companions play a critical role in maintaining safety, particularly when navigating dangerous terrain. Checking on one another, voicing concerns, and discouraging risky behavior are all acts of care that can prevent disasters. The impulsiveness of youth, coupled with peer pressure or the pursuit of attention, can push individuals toward danger. Groups that prioritize collective responsibility over momentary thrill are far more likely to return from adventurous outings safely. Mental preparedness is an often overlooked component of safety in high-risk environments. Visitors must remain mindful of their surroundings, aware of the potential consequences of each action, and capable of making calm, rational decisions under stress. Panic, distraction, and underestimation of hazards can be fatal, especially near cliffs or other extreme terrains. The Grand Canyon, while inviting and majestic, is not forgiving of lapses in judgment. Training the mind to recognize risk, maintain focus, and respond appropriately is as important as any physical precaution. Finally, reflection and community learning are critical in turning tragedy into meaningful prevention. Sharing stories of accidents, analyzing what went wrong, and implementing new safety protocols ensure that the loss of one life can help save others. Families, park authorities, and fellow travelers benefit from honest discussions about risk, accountability, and vigilance. Memorials, news reports, and educational campaigns transform grief into guidance, honoring the memory of those lost while fostering a culture of responsibility among visitors. In the end, the lessons of this tragic incident are clear. Respect the power of nature, understand the risks, prepare physically and mentally, communicate with those around you, and share the knowledge gained with others. The Grand Canyon's beauty comes with inherent danger, and the stories of lives lost remind us that adventure must always be tempered with caution. By internalizing these lessons, future visitors can experience the wonder of the canyon without compromising their safety, ensuring that the awe-inspiring majesty of the natural world does not come at the cost of human life. The memory of the student endures, not only as a tale of tragedy, but as a guidepost for vigilance, awareness, and respect. A reminder that each step taken near the edge is a choice, and that survival depends on honoring the lessons that nature quietly but inexorably teaches. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Your support helps us continue uncovering real-life events that leave a lasting impact. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that will grip your heart and mind. Share your thoughts below. How would you react in such a moment? Join our community, stay connected, and explore more stories of human courage, tragedy, and the lessons life teaches us every day. Your next unforgettable story is just a click away.